I did some sprinting with Daisy the dog the other day. So we go out for these long hikes, and sometimes we go real fast, and occasionally we run. But we decided to do some sprinting this time, and it's interesting if you haven't sprinted in a couple of years to try it cold like that.
How many push-ups a day are you on now?
I'm still doing 100.
Awesome.
A day. And, I'll tell you, I feel pretty good about it, except for the pain. Now, is it the joint pain? Is it the muscle pain? What is it? Yeah.
All of it?
Yeah.
Just the pain?
Yeah. I mean, but general fatigue, probably.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I told you, I think, Craig, I told you that I've been on this crazy diet for the last month or 6 weeks. Jade, I don't know if you know this, but I've been on this. I finally got, sick of looking at myself. I'm like, I've got to get back in shape. And so I started working out again, and I've gone on this crazy diet called the carnivore diet. And so all I eat are animal proteins, right? No vegetables, no carbs at all. I'm just eating steak 24/7 and with a great dollop of fat. And it's bananas. Like the weight has shed. It's amazing. I feel great. Lots of energy, lots of, clarity, focus. Although today all I've had is a cup of bone broth. And it's, mid-afternoon, early afternoon. So I may or may not be, I don't know what I'm saying right now. I may not be making sense.
So bone broth is sort of to tide you over for the fast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your dollop of fat consist of?
In that, I put a teaspoon of butter.
So steak and butter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Big fan of that.
And then, I shouldn't be doing this. And then we're going to get to our guests, but
Chips and salsa.
Guac.
Oh,
Guac. No chips, because that's carbs.
That's good. Yeah, but, darn.
Just the guac.
I'm out.
All right, let's get to the important things.
Oh.
Because we could talk about this all day long. But our guest today is really interesting. And I think what she's doing with agencies is really interesting. And I'm looking forward to the conversation because, she is she an agency whisperer? I don't know. But let's just leave it at that. And her name is Shauna Knuckles of Advocation. And I'm thrilled that she's here with us today.
Welcome to On Agency, a weekly podcast that explores the various topics that impact marketing and digital agencies. This is a podcast about the business of the business, pulling back the curtain with leading agency minds as they share candid stories of their journeys, from where they started to how they achieved success and what the future holds. On Agency is hosted by Patrick Rooney, co-founder and chief executive officer of Mahalo Hub, and Craig Fisher, CEO of TalentNet and author of the best-selling book, Hiring Humans.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello. It's good to see you.
Yes, likewise.
It's been a bit.
It has. Yeah. Time flies.
And I love, and so I described you as the agency whisperer, and I want to get into that a little bit. But before we get into that, I was doing a little bit of research, and you have such an interesting background. You now are in the arena of public relations and communications, but you didn't start there.
Yeah. So I think of it as 3 lifetimes ago, probably at this point, but I started my career in journalism. That's what I received my degree in. So very first thing out of school, I was in newsrooms and quickly realized that wasn't the best fit for a few reasons. One being they laid off 30% of the newsroom that year, and lots of shakeups happening as they still are. But after that, I pivoted to PR, kind of rose through the ranks of a PR agency, went from an intern to number 2, and ran the day-to-day of the team and eventually left and started my own company. I started with a PR agency, did that for quite a bit, but ran this consultancy side by side with that as well. And gosh, it's probably been 2022. I sunsetted the agency. I ran those two businesses side by side for quite a while, and today have Advocation, where we're a consultancy and a training company for PR, marketing, and digital firms.
I mean, that's quite the jump. So what made you, so after journalism, right, what made you make the leap to PR? Like why that?
I love a plan. And so I had a couple of concurrent plans at the same time, right? You're way back when I'm in school, I'm thinking, okay, what are the classes I need to take? What are the internships? So I kind of had it set. It feels odd to say today because it's been the whole trajectory of the most of my career, but it was the backup plan. The backup plan got activated. So I had always had an interest in it. I mean, what I loved about journalism was the communication piece of it, getting an idea across, connecting with people. And that rings true for PR end to end. Everything is about communication, connecting with folks and
research.
And research. Yeah. Lots of research. Learning about new industries, new products, new people.
So it's interesting. I'm going to jump in here. Hi, I'm Craig, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Hi, good to meet you too.
So I'm a journalism major as well. And I've fallen into PR and communications, both inside and outside. And now I run a recruitment marketing agency, but it's all related, right? I mean, so your journey is very similar to several in PR who start out kind of on the journalism side. And it's all the same skills, right? I mean, you have to be brief and you have to make a point and you have to make it splashy. And, you have to cut your words in half and do all the tricks that we learned in journalism school. And the research piece is always fascinating because what's the edge that your customer is going to have? And who in the editorial world is going to give you the chance and the spot to make that happen and make your customer happy. So I think it's really cool. So I'll tack on a question there. What's been the trickiest part of now being this sort of multi-offering agent from your transition and your overall journey there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think anyone has ever asked that specifically. And as I reflect on it, I think the toughest part of the journey was deciding to make the distinction and focus on this. There's that element of you have to trust that it will work, right? Because no one was doing this when I started in terms of providing this level of specificity of consulting on operations and business models for the agency niche. And so I had to trust that I'd built a need, that folks were going to require this service. When I started on my journey as a business owner, I really had the mindset of no one's going to pay for this. I'm going to do this for fun. This will be a passion project. And then, like so many other business stories, I hear the pandemic was really a catalyst moment for us because people needed to change the way they were doing business almost overnight. So I probably ran my PR agency and my consultancy side by side for a little too long. And that was probably the toughest point of just saying, all right, it's time to commit. Kind of that phrase of got to burn the bridge and focus on what I really want to double down on.
Yeah. So when we met, and we met at a PRSA conference.
Yep.
And, it was fascinating because I'd never really heard of a company that does this. You led with, I help founders exit. Right.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about that because I think that when people hear that, they think, oh, well, you're looking to be acquired or you're looking for, right, kind of a traditional exit, but you meant it in a much broader, in a much broader way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the story, and I won't go into a ton of detail on this. I'm happy to if we can, but the story for me of how I got to doing this work was a long journey of burnout, realizing that I couldn't work the way I was working any longer, and finding the path and the strategies out of that. And so when I use the phrase exit now, sure, it can mean exit as in your company's acquired, you're doing a formal M&A, but a lot of times agencies come to us because the founder wants to make some type of exit. Exit from chaos is the easiest, clearest one, but exit client work so that they can focus on sales, exit from operating the business so that they can play on a bigger stage or launch their next venture, exit from sales and marketing and embed a business development person. So they're looking to create the level of structure and stability that they need to replace themselves in some way, shape, or form. And so we use that phrase exit because that really is what resonates with founders when we speak to them, is they're looking to get out of whatever stage they're in and into the next.
Oh, I like all that. I think that's right after my own heart right there. So one of the things that I do in my space, which is, in the employment space, is I help people exit regular jobs on a regular basis, right? And I don't charge anything for that. It seems like you've got a model that I should adopt. But I'm just helping individuals at this point, right? But I help them get set up as consultants. And so they can get gig work and projects. And then I let them, donate some hours that I pay them for, but to my projects. So they get the experience of sort of those executive level conversations. So for you, when you're helping these founders, get to the next stage, on LinkedIn, everybody that attacks me calls it growth. We're going to help you with growth. And that's rote, right? It's too much. So what you're saying is exit to the next stage is fantastic. I love the niche.
Yeah, I love that you brought up that point around growth, because the work that we do, and it sounds very similar to you, it's very easy to use language where it feels kind of splashy and all the catchphrases that people are using to build businesses and go viral. But we're not about doing what's trendy. We're not about figuring out how to get the quickest, doubling of your revenue. We're really focused on how do you create the structure and stability to really transform your business into an asset, because that's usually what's missing from the agencies we're working with. Is they've reached some level of success. They figured out how to get clients, how to hire team members, but they've really scaled or grown their business from a survival mentality of what do we need to do today to get to tomorrow. Right. And at some point that runs out.
Yeah. They're not prepared for 10X.
They're not. They're usually not even prepared for
2X.
where they are today. That's why business feels really hard.
Nice.
And so so for people that are listening, right, talk about some of the things that you see founders, like when you walk in and you're like, all right, you need to do this, 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 and this. I'm sure that you walk in and you can probably, things are very obvious and you're like, of course, got it. There's a script for this. Talk a little bit about kind of when you walk in, what you typically see.
Yeah. So we have a checklist, for lack of a better term, that we run every agency that we work with through to really see where are they crushing it? Where are they not? Where are the opportunities? Where are the leaky faucets that we need to plug? And there are patterns. It's never really the exact same challenge agency to agency, but there are patterns based on size. So usually we see every time an agency roughly triples in size, the bottom starts to fall out. So that can be going from 1 to 3 people, 3 to 9 people, 9 to roughly 30 people. It's just all of your systems tend to just not work anymore. Communication tools, tech stack, even the services that you're offering. So we're always looking for what size of business are you? What stage are you at in your trajectory of growth? And that allows us to start pinpointing some common areas to start looking. But for everyone, we start with a foundation and ensuring that the model that they've built, the business model that they've built, is rock solid. So that includes for agencies, any professional service company really, is what are the services that you're offering? Are they clear? Are they repeatable? Can someone sell them besides the founder? And then we're looking at the financial model that backs that up. So we're executing the service. How are we pricing it? What are your margins? What are your financial goals to achieve X, Y, and Z business objectives? And then what's the team model? And we're usually looking at what does your team look like today? And what does it need to look like 6, 9, 12 months from now to reach whatever goal you have? And when we tie those three things together, it really builds that foundational stability that we can build on top of. And you iterate over time. Your services are going to change as your business grows, but it is really surprising to me, for being a service-based business, how few agencies start there. Their services, they're offering a lot. They're not clear. They're custom every time. So that's a really common place where we start, is looking at the services.
Boy, that's good. And I love the fact that you've got that baseline of tripling in size as sort of a place to start looking for cracks. And that is fascinating. And I mean, I'm sure you've got some science behind it, and you don't have to go into it, but loose correlations are great with me. And there's a guy that helped me to kind of hone my model, but he didn't do a lot of the things you're doing. And I need to get you together with him. You two would get along famously and probably be able to refer business. So remind me about that later. It's
amazing. I will.
Max,
Thank you.
Max trailer. Yeah. And have you written a book about it?
Not yet. Lots of ambition. So I really think the methodology that we use it lends itself well to a book. We also do trainings for leadership teams. So that's next on the roadmap for us. I love in-person events, so eventually bringing that in person, but certifying leadership teams in the way that we operate agencies, so that you don't have just a roadmap to exit your agency. You have a team who can really bring that vision to life. So that's something that we're really excited about rebuilding on our side too.
Man, that's great. Okay, I've got a publisher for you too whenever you're ready.
Amazing. You're full of everything that I need for my business.
That's fantastic. So I'm curious, I'm sure that you hear all kinds of things on your initial conversations with the senior teams when you're going in. What's the craziest thing that you've heard on an initial conversation?
I don't know if nothing really shocks me anymore, I guess, after having done this for a while and being in the PR industry. But I think something that really, makes my stomach drop and really puts me in my feelings when I talk to agencies, and I think a lot of folks will be surprised to hear this, and then also feel relieved if they're also experiencing this, to know that it's normal. The number of founders who do not pay themselves at all, or pay themselves like an intern. So the number of founders who could be making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year as an executive inside of a corporation or an agency are paying themselves $30,000 to $60,000 a year. And the reason for that is the model was never built to pay them as an executive. So that is always, it's not shocking to me because it's actually quite common, but that's where my spidey senses immediately go up, and usually the very first thing we try and fix.
Is it because they're acting as a solo practitioner at first?
Teams of agencies doing multiple seven figures.
Incredible.
And so for somebody listening to this saying, oh, I get that, what are one or two or three things that they can do immediately immediate steps that they could take?
The very first thing that we do is take a look at where your services, so how you're executing work, is leaking money. So it depends on how you've set up your services and also the management of the budget of those services. Sometimes it is team time. You're estimating you're going to spend 20 hours and you spend 40 hours instead. Or sometimes it is hard costs where you are not appropriately marking them up. So there's different ways in which a service execution can leak money. That's where usually the majority of the biggest wins and the biggest opportunity to turn margin around pretty quickly lives. It's in the execution and specifically the scoping and the design of those services. And then from there, we move to how efficiently you're using your resources. And resources, we usually mean team. So are you able to finish a project in the timeline that you've allocated? So your copywriter can do 4 projects in 8 weeks instead of 1. So those are the 2 areas where we really hone in and dissect immediately if we notice and see that a founder is not paying themselves or the profit margins aren't where they need to be. It's how efficiently are your services being executed and why and where are they leaking profit and money?
Yeah. And we talked about that, on the show before, right? It's, people that start PR agencies, communications agencies, or any marketing agency, is that, they don't start it because they think, oh, well, I'm a great business person and I'm going to do this because I see a great business opportunity. They think, hey, I'm a PR practitioner and I can do this on my own. So I'm going to set up, I'm going to put my shingle out. I'm going to set up an agency, starting with myself or a couple of friends. Right. And they don't know how to organize an agency, right? Because they've been practitioners, right? That were successful in their own right. But they're like, oh, well, let's just do it. They think that, they don't know what goes into it. And the number of, of these agencies that don't even have, say, understand how to manage utilization, to your point. Right. I mean, how can you ever possibly be profitable if you're not managing your utilization, where where your people's time is going, right? Yep. But are you being compensated for that?
Yeah. And another common thing that we see too is sometimes you have a founder who's excellent at sales. And when people think about scaling, that's what they think. Scaling means let's get new clients in the door, more awareness about our company. But if you sign more work that is hard to execute, not profitable, and ultimately loses the company money instead of makes you money, that's not scaling. That's just creating more chaos and more problems. And that tends to be can be a really challenging circumstance to unwind because you're making multiple 6, multiple 7s. We've seen 8-figure agencies in this position where you can't just, well, we're not going to, we won't do another project like that. You've got 2-year contracts sometimes that you still have to figure out how to deliver. So that can be another really common piece of this is you've just continuously sold something again and again that you should have simplified first.
I love hearing you say that. Logo chasing is not always the end goal. And I think what happens is we want that business so bad that we'll say, yeah, we can do it for X. And then we end up spending 3 times as many hours just to get it done so that we can just say we did that project. And that's not a good deliverable.
100%. And I know there's always going to be some element of we're doing this for the first time. We're not going to get it right the first time, right? But the idea you hopefully want to achieve is, all right, we did this one time. We know now to charge this instead of that. And we know to kick off this way instead of that way. And we know we can do 1 report instead of 4 reports. And if that's how you refine, and we use the phrase productize your service over time, so that the place we want to get to is you can hit a button, the service goes down a conveyor belt, and it is executed just turnkey for the most part. We don't want to be in a position where you are scoping custom work that you're losing money on every single time it's executed. But we do see agencies more often than not, honestly, spend years. They can be in business for 10, 15, 20 years and still run their business that way. And that's where the profit lies, is in really figuring out how to streamline the repeatable execution of those services.
And that's something that you help with, right? Productization, right?
Yes.
Helping them productize their services.
Yep. That's a big core component of what we do when we're working with clients in a strategic advisor, ongoing way. Where our three kind of core areas we look at are the services, the team, and the financial model. And a lot of agencies come to us to figure out how they can really productize their service suite, make sure they're offering the right services for their market, structuring them in a way where the team can execute them and not have the founder involved, or the founder be involved as much or as little as they want. And they're set up in a way where they can turn a profit for the company.
Imagine that. I mean, that's crazy. Turning a profit.
Wild concept.
Why would you want to be profitable? It's crazy.
So I think your book could be called Profitable Templates.
We are trademarked, which this is a big business milestone for me, because now I have the official R instead of the TM, is agency to asset. So we really help you turn your agency into a wealth generating asset.
Oh, I love it. Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Concise.
Thank you.
And part of me thinks that Craig is starting up a publishing house, and that's kind of why he's pushing this book.
Hey, I'll be your first client.
Hey, there you go. That's fantastic.
Yeah, sure. I'll take it. Absolutely. I need to just add some logos.
Exactly.
Well, Shauna, this has been fantastic. Thank you for coming and spending time with us. I mean, what you do is I think, so needed in the market. I mean, especially for, again, these practitioners that start agencies that grow and have success, but grow to a point where they don't know how to manage it. I think that what you're doing is it's agency whispering. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Likewise. It was great to meet you as well and reconnect with you, Patrick. And I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks, Shauna.
Bye-bye. Craig, what's up with the book, man? I mean, are you doing like Fisher House? Ooh,
look behind
hey, you're
me.
Publishing Fisher House.
Love it.
Our company's called
publishing house.
Talent Net Media.
The king of all media. And
For anyone listening, it's called talentnetmedia.com.
There we go.
And if you want to publish a book, I'll hook you up.
All right, there you go.
That's not my job.
I mean, Shauna Knuckles, that was amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love her model. What a cool deal.
Advocation. I mean, it just, so I love their tagline, creating the stability agencies need to scale to the next level. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I told you when we started, I mean, she's like the agency whisperer, going in and helping find the holes and find the areas where agencies can tighten up and get organized for growth. It's huge.
Her framework of exiting to the next phase is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, what a mind shift, right? For owners that are beaten up by growth hacks and, vendors trying to AI your marketing for you and all this nonsense that we see every day. And she comes along and says, hey, we help agency owners exit to the next phase, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's a good mind shift right there.
And speaking of mind shift, I don't know if you guys have noticed throughout our conversation, the door opening and a little black and white skunk like walking in and out. But this puppy keeps like breaking in here and just will not take no. So
He wants to be a co-host on the podcast.
I mean, seriously, this guy is killing me.
It's his big break.
It's a big way. He's going to get a big break, all right.
Oh, you're big talk. That is not.
I am big talk.
That is nonsense.
That's, you know what in Texas? What do you say? All hat, no cattle. That's right. That's me.
That's funny.
All right, this has been fantastic.
This
All right,
is
guys.
great.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by TalentNet and Mahalo Hub. TalentNet Media empowers businesses with innovative strategies in talent acquisition operations, recruitment marketing, and employer branding. Join us to stay ahead in the evolving hiring and HR technology landscape at talentnetmedia.com. For marketers looking to amplify their marketing campaigns with high-impact video content, Mahalo Hub simplifies your workflow with its powerful, flexible, and scalable platform. Savvy marketers know that Mahalo Hub makes their lives easier and budgets go further by letting them invite, capture, edit, and distribute authentic video content seamlessly across all digital channels, all from one intuitive dashboard. Check Mahalo Hub out at www.mahalohub.com. That is MAHALOHUB.com.